And we live. All right, Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
All praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High. Gotta praise the Most High, you hear me? You did it. I got the shoes, I got the bags, all in my Bible, stay in my bag. Bring on most for the spirit, Jesus, and washing me clean from good in your ass. Be 100, yeah, I do the dance, all in the earth, so you do the math. Father, plug, and he show love, but them niggas wanna watch your back. I don't do fast, I might crash, and I ain't trying to crash out. My people wanna hear me, so you know we gon' stand up. They can't put their faith with me, so I ain't got my hands out. Either my heaven is coming here, I was there for friends out. And as I travel down this road, when it's all I'm in Chico. Forget my spirit, they fearing to hear it, I'm body like a Chico. No shooting now, like the priest, oh. Holding fast every word he holds. Striving to be that sure sees me and Father on their future. Travel down this road, I know that many confused with chosen. And I believe it cause it coming so. I know that many confused with chosen. Because you're not like anybody else. Many confused with chosen. For the love of God, you gon' tell. Many confused with chosen.
Only few chose of a many calls, so more than half who was meant to fall. Y'all clicked up, saying y'all squad safe, got tricking y'all, that's a mental flaw. Saying only you got the truth, but the most I ain't never mentioned y'all. The Lord said if you follow this one man here, you can get it all. That's Deuteronomy 28, probably 69. That's a different law. Can't swallow that, can't follow that. In the book of life, that is not attached. Raw lead to destruction. And most of y'all won't honor that. Some in the spirit can't make them stay. Gotta be unified in a major way. Tongue sharper than the razor blade. And no sacred book gon' pave the way. I sit around some fakes today, but most of them gon' fade away. Strongholds, we break them. Long roads, we face them. Gotta be uniform to make it, but ain't no uniform gon' make it. Wow.
Down this road, I know that many confused with chosen. And I believe it cause it's coming so. I know that many confused with chosen. Because you're not like anybody else. Many confused with chosen. For the love of God, you gon' tell. Many confused with chosen. Ooh. Many confused with chosen. Many confused with chosen. Ooh.
All praise to the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, peace and blessing to you, Shalom, wherever you are. So this song right there is Free Chosen by Lanoya, featuring John Boy. It's not released yet. You gotta wait on that one. But I'm gonna give it a little more time for others to get in. All praise to the Most High yet again for another time to fellowship, to get in the Word, to discuss the oracles of the Most High, to learn, and to be taught at the same time. You know what I mean? Anytime that we engage in the Word of the Most High, anytime we engage in any activity pertaining to the Most High, it decreases the chance and renders the possibility of us doing something against Him to be small. Like we can't do two things at once. So the more we stay with Him, the less time we got to transgress. But again, this song is by Lanoya, Free Chosen, featuring John, but I'm gonna play something else too.
Yo. Paisley, what it do, brother? No, we gotta talk to the people. I know I ain't the only one seeing all Israel in this.
Brothers stick together, gotta die. Shia with us in the right by side. We know we Israelites, but everybody ain't trying to do right. Our Israel and that's a fact. Can you see that we under attack? Hey, we shooting at each other, everything quick to stab each other in the bag. Israel in this one, hey, Israel in this one, hey, screaming Black Lives Matter when we the ones really doing the killing. Israel in this one, hey, Israel in this one, hey, cussing out the Gentiles, but salvation ain't a part of your mission. Israel in this one, I know that we live in a moment like Kodak. People say they wanna ride with you, but when it goes down, we a pro way. And every time we hit the streets, I see another Israelite attacking me. Everybody say they Israelites, but everybody don't follow Christ. No, debating the strangers out there that me. Every week on Facebook, YouTube, and IG. And they high seas trying to meet and greet. And every sister D, I'm looking for heat. They blowing them trees, still popping pills. And preaching the word like, boy, is you for real? They focus on Gentiles, fucking help they own people find life now. They lost, and they wickedness for preaching the law. Get it right before you lost it. See that be not your own eye before you see a flaw. And your one brother can't carry your cross. Everybody got a pistol. Shoot on your brother, forgetting you miss. Repent about that's what Christ is shy. You got eyes to see, is there hope you live? Brothers stick together, got us high. Shia with us, standing right by side. We know we Israelites, but everybody ain't trying to live right. Israel in Israel, and that's a fact. Can you see that we under attack? Hey, we shooting at each other, everything. Quick to stab each other in the back. Israel in Israel, hey, Israel in Israel, hey, screaming Black Lives Matter when we the ones really doing the killing. Israel in Israel, hey, Israel in Israel, hey, cussing out the Gentiles, but salvation ain't a part of your mission. Israel in Israel.
Toe with these devils, cornerstone, no pebble. Zephaniah 2 and 1. We supposed to be one. Stick together like Elmers. Treat your brothers like foes. Lusting after his wife. He who wise wins souls. You more concerned with getting likes. Really worse than a pastor. Spread strike backbiter. You Christ called Bible. Envy turned to a liar. Greed turned into the liar. Never had a conversation. Yet you're saying you don't like him. Just a demon in prison. Just a witch in a dress. Cast a spell, no a hex. Instagram trying to flex. Pentagram on her neck. Savage spirit she possessed. Another train about to wreck. Reaper about to come collect. Can't build without love. When you come correct. Instead of showing what you know, show that man some respect. Prophesy, cover dead. Otherwise you want trash. Talking silver 30 pieces. Get your jewels with the bag.
Brothers stick together, got us high. Shia with us, standing right by side. We know we Israelites, but everybody ain't trying to live right. Israel in Israel, and that's a fact. Can you see that we under attack? Hey, we shooting at each other, everything. Quick to stab each other in the back. Israel in Israel, hey, Israel in Israel, hey, screaming Black Lives Matter when we the ones really doing the killing. Israel in Israel, hey, Israel in Israel, hey, cussing out the Gentiles, but salvation ain't a part of your mission. Israel in Israel, know that.
All right. So this song there was Shadayawa featuring myself, Israel. All Israel ain't Israel. Peace and blessings to the chosen, everybody who tuning in. All praises, glory, and honor goes to the creator of the heavens, the earth, the seas, and everything that's in them. The one who made the night as well as the day, the one who blessed you to wake up from last night's sleep, blessed you to wake up from your nap, and gave you the function of your limbs, gave you all your limbs. There's a lot of people confined to hospital bed today, family. There's a lot of people right now, their day is a whole lot different from yours because they preparing or they in attendance at a funeral for a loved one. Their hearts are crushed. All right, so there's mercy imparted to us. Beyond it, just to say, let us be mindful of one another. Today's subject matter is judge righteous judgment. Judge righteous judgment. I've seen it many times over time, or a lot of times in these particular days that we live in, having social media. People tend to communicate in other means instead of one-on-one. People love to get attention. People love to have a man band. People love to have a group of people with them to come behind them for judgment, not ever knowing or analyzing the true situation about things that's going on in the affairs of other people's lives. That being said, the book tells us, let us be mindful. Let us not talk about other men's lives. Mind your business in other cases. All right, so the goal for today is to help us to understand what is righteous judgment. When we hear things or we see things, what is the way that the book is telling us to deal with these matters accordingly? All right, so let's open up with Matthew 7. Matthew chapter 7. Get your pens, your pads, your highlighters if you got them. You're going to need your KJV. We're going to go into the Old Testament. We're going to do some stuff out the New Testament. We'll get some scriptures from there, as well as the Apocrypha and Josephus. We're going to use this book too. We'll get some out of there as well. So I give y'all time to get that. I pray that y'all's week have been blessed. I pray that the things are working according to the Father's will, that he's increasing and elevating the discernment on how we deal with these situations, how we deal with one another, and that our lights continue to shine and glow in the dark world. With Matthew 7, I'm going to start with verse 1. Matthew 7, starting with verse 1. It says, "Judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again." All right, so what we learning here from the Messiah is saying, don't judge, don't be the one to come to this conclusion about a thing or a person without you first taking the steps that need to be taken before you come to that conclusion, which is investigate. Do an investigation about what it is, if it involves you. Because some people investigating other people's business that ain't got nothing to do with them. Meddle not with the affairs of other people, of other men. All right, but whatever you judge, whatever your judgment be, whatever your conclusion be about a situation, however you come to a decision of how to, handle a matter, it's going to be handled, in your case, the same way. This is why the Most High tell us, he say, love mercy, so that on the day of judgment, you will find mercy. But those who operate with unmerciful hearts, they want to crush people, destroy people completely. Listen, that's what's going to happen to you in the end. You don't have no mercy. You don't have no patience for your neighbor. You don't have no care, no concern for that person or people. That's what's going to happen to you in the end if we don't repent for that. All right. Verse 4 says, with verse 3, it says, "And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considers not the beam that is in thine own eye?" So you trying to tell somebody about them having obstructed vision, but you yourself, you got something that's blocking your view. You need to clear your eyes first so that you can see clearly and straight with understanding before you talk about somebody else. All right, verse 4 says, "Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye." All right. And what's happening a lot of times, people had these beams and motes in their eyes. They passed this judgment verbally, which we're going to get a sharper understanding on what judgment is. But on a case of a verbal judgment, people do that a lot of times because they already have an ill mind toward who they passing this judgment on. You already don't like this person. You already got something against this person. So anything that come out their mouth or anything they do, you going to demonize it. You're going to have a problem with it. No matter what they can do it perfect to a T. You're going to find an issue with it because you have an issue with the person. You don't have an ear to take it in and say, well, let me see what they right in this matter. Were they wrong? You're going to automatically put it in the category of something that's terrible, bad. Demonize it again, like I said. All right, let's go to John 7. St. John chapter 7. Melissa, Josephus is a book from one of the Levites. He was taking accounts of the records of those things in his time that he can go back into far as the OT or the Torah, Tanakh, and the accounts of our forefathers and foremothers from the records that he had in his time period. He wrote those things down and made a document for it that we can read today. Gives more detail on certain situations, a lot of them really. With St. John chapter 7. St. John chapter 7. Let's see. All right, and it reads, it says, "Judge not according to appearance, but judge righteous judgment. All right, so this is how the judgment gets polluted in other cases as well. The people having not only a mind of a preconceived notion to say that you got ill view of this particular brother or sister. In other cases, you got those who operate, they already feel like they have a respected person. Because this person is this or they do that, I automatically can say that everything that come out their mouth is gold. They don't do no wrong. It's impossible for them to do evil. You know what I mean? But that's respective persons. This is a part of why anytime this is your first time tuning in, you're going to hear me say, listen, don't listen to me. Go back and read behind the things that I'm telling you to read. Make sure I'm right. Don't pedestalize me. I'm in the war just like you. All right, but other people would lead you to them. They want the people to be hoarded unto themselves, to lord over the Most High's heritage. This is a terrible situation to be in. That's not what we're here for. But don't judge according to what they wear because he got gay clothing on, because the fashion is nice. I say, but judge righteous judgment, meaning actually weigh in the balance what's going on before you. If it's a situation that's pertaining to a quarrel, listen to why the quarrel happened. What initialized this argument? All right, if it's a fight, why did they fight? Oftentimes, brothers and sisters, family, we see people and they get into a terrible accident. Now, the human nature will have many of us, many of us who will have a godly spirit. You'll be like, man, that's terrible. That's sad. I hate that happened. All right, but in other cases, what's really going on is that it is a punishment from the Most High. Like this person is strung out on whatever drugs it may be because of something that they did to a child, something that they did against their parents, something that they did against somebody else that you don't know about, right? But then in other cases, that's also done. This is why we're talking about righteous judgment with balance. All right. In other cases, what I have heard some say, man, there's judgment. Anything go wrong, any problem somebody had, man, there's judgment from the Most High. Why can that not be categorized as the chastening? Or why can that not be categorized as the refining? Why can it not be categorized as this is an attack from the adversary on this person or on these people? It's not always judgment from the Most High. That's a wicked mind too, or unwise. We got to realize that. So we got to find the balancing. It's a balancing all the things. Definitely when we're talking about walking with Christ and living his life, man. Indeed, if you haven't smashed the like button, smash the like button. Cephas, hey, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, peace and blessing to you. Yeah. But I'm going to read that again. St. John 7:24 says, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Now let's get some examples. Let's go 1 Kings. We're going to go to 1 Kings chapter 3. 1 Kings chapter 3. 1 Kings chapter 3. Indeed, he said John was beheaded. Was he in sin? Exactly. John got beheaded for speaking out against the wrong that was being done. All right. So again, we got to find the balance. And this is why I say don't be meddling in unnecessary matters. You don't know what this person got going on with the Most High, whether it's good or evil. But guess what? On Judgment Day, he said all this is going to be brought to the forefront. Everything, the secret thing, the public thing, all that. All right. So what we hear in 1 Kings chapter 3. We're going to start with verse 3. 1 Kings chapter 3, starting with verse 3. It says, and Solomon loved the Most High, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. In Gibeon, the Most High appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And the Most High said, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. So the Most High proposed to Solomon, listen, whatever you want, ask me for that. I'm going to give it to you. Now listen to the resolve of Solomon. Verse 8 says, and thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? Now, Solomon asking the Most High the supply of everything and anything you could think of without measure. He said, listen, I just want to know, your people is great and you set me over them. I want to know how to conduct these people, as well as myself, to be able to tell the difference between good and bad. For what did it say after that, though? Verse 10, it says, and the speech pleased the Most High, that Solomon had asked this thing. And the Most High said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing and hast not asked for thyself long life, he didn't ask that he can live forever, neither has asked riches for thyself. He didn't ask to make him wealthy beyond measure, nor has asked the life of thine enemies, kill and destroy all my foes, but has asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any rise like unto thee. And I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all that day. So even the thing that Solomon didn't ask for, the Most High gave him it, but he asked for righteous judgment. Very important, because we handling matters of people's lives. What you do with information can get you killed. Okay, so let's talk about it in a sense of, okay, we watch these movies, or we've seen these movies, you know, the criminal activity. Well, they trying to get rid of the witnesses. Why? Because these witnesses can be evidence and proof and what's needed for conviction of the perpetrator. All right, because they're information that they know, listen, you can cause this person to be in harm's way, rather it's good or evil. Now we're talking about what happened recently. The same woman who was in the case of help me, Father, why is this slipping me? The young brother who was killed because they say he whistled at the white woman. Emmett Till is coming out now saying that she was lying. You know, they had opened up a case to try to get her. She really had lied about that. But this young boy was killed, beat to death based off what this woman said about this child. So when we operate and we got something to say about what people are doing or the matters at hand, make sure what you're saying is righteous. Don't be a part of the amen band to where now you included in that group that's causing this person to be put to death unrighteously. That's going to be blood on your hands. All right, let's go to Sirach. Out the Apocrypha. Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, family. And we're going to chapter 11. Page 77 if you got the real one. All right. So if you're not familiar with this, your first time tuning in, brothers, sisters, family, Listen, this right here is 14 books that they removed from the canon or the canonical, what they deem to be canonical. 14 other books with records for us, that'll benefit us in our salvation and understanding and growing in spirit to walk with the Most High. All right. But Sirach chapter 11, and we're going to start with verse 7. 11 and 7. And it reads, it says, blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Don't blame. Don't get the point is it's his fault, it's her fault, it's their fault before you examine. Meaning you know more about the situation than just what was said about one person or one group. You need a full picture. The Most High said he hate an unjust balance. So guess what? When people deal in matters and they only, tailor their ear to the people that they like for whatever reason, and not this unjust balance, the Most High don't like that. This is why we commanded to do righteous judgment. See, here the small as well as the great. We're going to get there too. All right, but it says, blame not before thou hast examined the truth. A lot of people not doing it. It says, understand first. Understand. Don't just, put yourself in somebody else's shoes. You know what I mean? Again, like I done made this example before. You come in, late in this movie, and you see this man choking this fellow. He wrong. He need not to be committing violence against him. He wrong for that. But you don't know that before you walked in on this point of the movie, dude just slaughtered this man's whole family. The least he can do is choke him. All right, but it's just to draw the parallelism for it, to let you know, like, my people have purposes in what they do. Examine and try to understand why. The man not shooting off or going in or she not feeling that way just because she want to. Not in every case. It's something that happened. What is it that triggered that person? Critical thinking will bring us to points where we ask questions like why or what or how, when, what, instead of just going into a conclusion and assuming things. All right. Sirach 11 and 7 again. Blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first and then rebuke. Understand and then you give correction. All right, verse 8. Answer not before thou hast heard the cause. Neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk. And a lot of times this is what happens. You hear only this portion of it. And then from there, after that little portion, you make this conclusion, not knowing the full details. It's dangerous ground. All right. Let's go to Proverbs 18. Proverbs chapter 18, family. Proverbs chapter 18. Because as we know, not only on Judgment Day will the actions be weighed, you know what I'm saying? It's also going to be brought into account of why, your reasoning of what you're doing, or what you've done, or what you said, all this. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 13. All right, so the lunch pad was for what we just read in Sirach, which we're going back to it. Going back to that. This is confirmation for me. I had this conversation with someone earlier this week. A brother in the truth had stayed for a counselor. Does that mean he was wicked and deserved to get sick? Only the Most High know. Only the Most High know, man. Only the Most High know. All right. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 13 says, he that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him. All right. It's folly and shame to a person because you automatically drawn this conclusion. And again, like I said, within unrighteous judgment or polluting true judgment, a lot of people have that attached to respective persons. Because you this, or because you that, or because you not this, or you not that. I'm going to go with the opposing party. There's wickedness, man. In other cases, you got people who they want to hear what this woman is saying because she's attractive. They're only listening to this man because he's attractive. He's funny, he's smart, or whatever. Like, that don't matter in a case when wrong has been done. Whether this person is poor or rich, we ain't listening to you because you're rich. We're not turning our ears away from you because you're poor. The Most High made the rich and the poor, man. All right, let's go back to Sirach, though. It was verse upon verse, line upon line, here a little, there a little. He that answer a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto you. Sirach 11, verse 9 says, strive not in a matter that concerneth thee not. If it's not your business, listen, mind yours. So I've seen over the social media where people make posts and they talking about other people, or they talking about this situation, which, okay, express yourself. But then the issue comes in, or the display of not being wise. We have people that's just jumping on saying, yeah, okay, right on, clapping for them. Not even knowing this person that's making this post. It say, know them that labor among you. All right, and we can find out how these people are when you see in the mindset that they have from a lot of the things that they do post and what they do. All right, which those who will salute, you have those who they'll salute like, yeah, that is right. That was a powerful thing you said. That's true. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But if you got people that saluting it, then they saying it because they want to be a part of the issue. Or they just automatically taking a side of this one person, not knowing what the true story is, the full story. That's not wise. End up in a situation where you trying to respect the person of this brother or sister, not knowing you at odds with the Most High, because the Most High against that person. But they brought the story out first. Guess what that is? Another issue. We're going to get to that too. Sirach 11:9, strive not in a matter that concerneth thee not, and sit not in judgment with sinners. My son, meddle not with many matters, for if thou meddle much, thou shalt not be innocent. And if thou follow after, thou shalt not obtain. Neither shalt thou escape by fleeing. So you want to be in everybody's business? Listen, you ain't going to get away scot-free and without guilt. You're going to be, listen, you're going to have some condemnation in that matter too. You're going to have to answer for it. You in this person, be that person, you in that circle. Listen, a snake and snakish people, they able to move like that. They able to be around whoever, whenever, in any case. Because like the book tells us in Sirach, it says no head above the head of a snake, meaning a snake don't have the mindset to give and credence or authority over himself to nobody. He said, ain't nobody gonna control me. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I answer to none. So let me help you out a little more if you don't understand that. When we read in 1 Corinthians 11, it said the head of every man is Christ. The head of every man. It said the head of the woman is the man. Okay, so now what is it telling us? That this is the chain of authority. So now we're talking about these snakes. It says no head above the head of a snake. That means that this snake don't give. That's why you can feed them, bring them in your house, and they still will bite you. You can do everything, take care of the snake all you want to. It still will consume you. Let it get hungry enough. All right. Let's go to John 7. St. John 7. St. John chapter 7. St. John chapter 7. And we're going to go back to 1 Kings 3 after this. St. John 7, we're going to start with 45. St. John 7 and 45. It says, then came the officers to the chief priests and Pharisees, And they said unto them, why have ye not brought him? The officers answered, never man spake like this man. They talking about the Messiah. He said, then answered them the Pharisees, are ye also deceived? Have any of the rulers or of the Pharisees believed on him? But this people who know of not the law are cursed. Nicodemus saith unto them, he that came to Yeshua by night, being one of them, doth our law judge any man before it hear him, and know what he doeth? They answered and said unto him, art thou also of Galilee? Search and look, for out of Galilee ariseth no prophet. And every man went unto his own house. Now, why are we going here? Because you got Nicodemus explaining to these Pharisees, these people supposed to have a position in this understanding of the law and the oracles of our forefathers and foremothers. He said, don't our law tell us that before we judge something or somebody, we need to hear them first? So what's going on? The people will be telling you about this and that, but not even practicing the instruction that tells you, listen, hear both sides. Hear both sides first. Or you end up condemning somebody or condemning the righteous. The Most High hate that. We end up condemning the righteous and rescuing or salvaging the wicked. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy 1. And from Deuteronomy 1, we're going to get that 1 Kings 3 again. Deuteronomy chapter 1. He says, does not our law tell us to hear it first? So where is that in the law? Deuteronomy chapter 1. I'm going to start with 16. Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 16 is where I'm starting. It says, and I charge your judges at that time, saying, hear the causes between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the stranger that is with him. Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. So I don't care if this person is homeless. I don't care what's wrong with them. If they got an issue with somebody else, you need to hear both sides. Don't just say, okay, well, this is the city councilman. Oh, this person, this is an elder. He been in the truth for 25 years. Oh, this person helped me do this and do that. Well, I know he ain't going to do it. No. Hear both sides. We can be wrong. Anybody can be wrong. Just like anybody can be right. All right, but the truth will come out within it when you hearing both sides, then you make a decision. All right, it says, ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is the Most High's. And the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. And I commanded you at that time all the things which ye should do. All right, so we understand if you don't know, Moses, through the counsel of his father-in-law Jethro, told him, listen, break down the congregation, man. You got everybody coming to you about their problems, and you being a judge of it. And you got 600,000 men aside from women, children, and cattle and beasts. Break that thing down and put captains over tens and over hundreds and fifties and thousands and let them deal with those matters. And if it be a problem that's too hard for them to resolve, then let them bring it to you. That way, in the meanwhile, while they handling it, you can still stay on your face before the Most High to have the connection with the people and the Father strengthened. That was the purpose of that. All right, now let's go to 1 Kings. Let's go back there. 1 Kings, chapter 3. 1 Kings, chapter 3. Let's see. We stopped at 13. 1 Kings, chapter 3. We read from verse 3 to 13. We're going to pick up at 14. It says, and if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Most High, and offered up burnt offerings and offered peace offerings, and made a feast to all his servants. Verse 16. Then came there two women, pay attention to this part, family, that were harlots unto the king, and stood before him. And the one woman said, O my Lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the third day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also. And we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. So if you don't understand, she's saying it's two women, one house, both pregnant. This woman, after 3 days, she gave birth to a child. So did the other one. Nobody else is in the house. Verse 19, and this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I rose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son which I did bear. Look at the mindset of this person. Both had children. This woman laid on her, suffocated them. Your child died. Your resolve was, okay, well, let me go lay my child in the arms of this woman and take her, as if this woman wouldn't recognize her own baby. All right, but continuing on. Verse 21. Well, in the morning, furthermore, in 21, she said that in the morning, she recognized, like, no, this ain't my child, it's ours. Verse 22, and the other woman said, nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, no, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. So now we got your word against her word. Where is the truth? Where do we find the truth in the matter? Through examination, family. Verse 24, and the king said, bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other. All right, so I made a post not too long ago about splitting the baby in half. This is what I was referring to, not actually killing a child, but saying getting to the truth and the root of the matter. Continuing on, though, it says, then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, oh, my Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, let it be neither mine nor thine, but divided. Showing you who is the true parent. Continuing on 27. Then the king answered and said, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of the Most High was in him to do judgment. So in this case, this woman, he understood it. It's not your child because you don't care if anything happened to this baby. But the mother, the true one who got nurtured, who loved her child, she like, man, you know what? I'll give my child up just to know that they safe. All right, she can have them. Just don't kill my baby. Bringing out the truth. You see the motive. So what be the intention and motives behind people? Their actions and so on and so forth. Let's go to Proverbs 18. Back to Proverbs 18. All right, but there was righteous judgment. So the king heard both sides. He didn't just automatically jump out there and say, well, you told me the story, so I'm going to believe you. And then notice within it that he didn't go into who these people were. That's why I say, it said both of those women were harlots. He didn't say, oh, you a harlot, I can't trust you. Now one of y'all word. That didn't even come on the table. The matter at hand was what was examined and dealt with. So you have people, because They want to investigate and know who is this and who is that and all these other things, these unnecessary matters, as the book put it, as pertaining to judgment in that case. Solomon wasn't worried about it. The problem was whose child is it? All right, Proverbs 18, verse 17, though. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 17. Let y'all get there. I'm gonna let you get there. Okay, I'm seeing what I'm gonna hit on those too. Sister Shemaiah, Shalom, Stephen Desi, Shalom, Risha, Shalom, Evangelist, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom to y'all. Jamal, Kara, Khalifa Ali Bey, Safaria, everybody who's tuning in or who has commented, and those who watching who have not commented. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, share the video as well. Somebody might need to hear this. Somebody might be dealing with this. All right, or you can hit the dislike button. I'm not the person who do what you do. Proverbs 18 and 17, though. It says, he that is first in his own cause seemeth just, but his neighbor cometh in search of him. So in other cases with judgment, righteous judgment, and people be in the audience, understand it. A lot of times you in the audience. So when somebody brings something to you, many people are swayed out there alone. I heard their story first, so I'm going to go with that. That's not wise. That's not righteous. He said he just in it. Let me read it again. Proverbs 18, 17. He that is first in his own cause seemeth just. So he first in what he doing, or what was said. This is the first part you get. I said, but his neighbor cometh in search of him. So the neighbor gonna come and check it out, examine like the book tells us. Okay, what else happened? What's really going on? You know what I mean? What led to this? What does the other person have to say? So on and so forth. It ain't gonna just be going to the conclusion and taking this one side. All right, hear the whole matter, like y'all sons just said. Hear the whole matter. Let me see. Let's go to history of Susanna. We're gonna eat from here. We're gonna eat a nice amount from the history of Susanna, family. We're gonna get some good grub. And there's only one chapter, so we're gonna go through the whole thing. Let's see. Stephen said that's the problem. They don't want to hear both sides because they heard what they wanted to hear. Indeed. Having itching ears. And we're gonna get some of that too. Gonna get some of that. I got you surprised at Romans 2, 11 through 13. We're going to get that as well. All right, with the history of Susanna, I'm going to start with verse 1. It says, there dwelt a man in Babylon called Joachim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Most High. Her parents also were righteous, and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. Now Joachim was a great rich man, and had a fair garden joining unto his house. And to him resorted the Jews, because he was more honorable than all others. The same year were appointed two of the ancients of the people to be judges, such as the Most High spake of, that wickedness came from Babylon, from ancient judges, who seemed to govern the people. So this man took a wife, fair woman, and this woman was trained and brought up and admonished in the law of the Most High. So is he. This same year were two ancients or older people given a position to be judges over the people. Verse 6 says, these kept much at Joachim's house. And all that had any suits in law came unto them. So these judges stayed at Joachim's house. They always over there. Now, when the people departed away at noon, Susanna went into her husband's garden to walk. And the two elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her. And they perverted their own mind and turned away their eyes that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments. So the matter is that this man got a house and people love being over his house. These judges, they there too. His wife is there, the man's wife. And the people knowing that the judge is always at his house, they come bringing issues to the judge like, hey man, we had this issue. What's the answer? What's the conclusion? What's the judgment? And these two elderly men watching this other man's wife every day, lustfully. All right, let's continue. Well, we're going to hold it, matter of fact, because he said they polluted their own minds. Hold it. Let's go to Romans 1. Romans 1. He said these judges said they perverted their own mind and turned away their eyes that they might not look unto heaven nor remember just judgments. All right, so we get this same type of speech and speaking here in Romans. That comes with a judgment in itself. People don't want to hear the word of the Most High. Okay, cool. All right, well, it's not cool, but we're going to see. Romans 1, verse 28. It says, and even as they did not like to retain the Most High in their knowledge, the Most High gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. And a reprobate mind is a mind that's void of judgment. You don't care about what can come after. You don't care about hell or the lake of fire or any troubles that may arise from any actions or things that you do in life. Somewhat like a nihilist. You just do what you want to do, feeling and thinking there is no consequence behind it. But yea, it is. Yea, it is. All right. So this is a part of what these men were operating in. Continuing on, verse 29 says, being filled with all unrighteousness. So there's the gateway. There's the door you open. When you don't want to retain or keep the knowledge of the Most High in your mind, you don't want to hear nothing from the Most High, you open the door for all unrighteousness, for all types of evil, that including fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of the Most High, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of the Most High, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. So it's not enough that you do it. It's not enough that you be wicked. You got to have others to be wicked, which that's evil, man. But that's what comes with not wanting to retain the knowledge of the Most High in our minds. All right, so let's go back to history of Susanna. Picking back up at verse 10. Picking back up at verse 10. Something else just came to me. I'm sorry. Let's go to Sirach. Hold Susanna. We're going back though. Sirach 3. Yeah. Lunchpad off them saying they perverted their own minds. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, I'm going to start with 21. It says, seek not out the things that are too hard for thee, neither search the things that are above thy strength. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. So you got some people, they just got to know what is his secrets, what's her secrets. Everybody got issues. Why is my issues so important that you want to know? When we should all be striving to get into the kingdom. You too busy watching the next brother and sister, minding their business. Your own business getting away from it. Verse 23, be not curious in unnecessary matters. For more things are showed unto thee than men understand. The Most High done already revealed to us more than most men even get. Just by the fact of us knowing that we Israel. We still ain't tailored and got enough understanding on that. We still don't have a full understanding on the covenant between the people of the Most High and the Creator. All right. 24 says, for many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment. All right, so having is even not analyzing, not examining, not actually dealing with and getting the details and the specifics about the case that involves you. Not that you dealing with other people business. I'm talking about if you involved, if it's your business, you've been included. Then listen, so many people for evil suspicion, they've already cast an unrighteous judgment over somebody else. Now we're back in history of Susanna. History of Susanna. Now we back at verse 10. All right, and it reads, it says, and albeit they both were wounded with her love, yet does not one show another his grief. For they were ashamed to declare their lust, that they desired to have to do with her. Yet they watched diligently from day to day to see her. And the one said to the other, let us now go home, for it is dinner time. So when they were gone out, they parted the one from the other, and turning back again, they came to the same place. And after that, they had asked one another the cause. They acknowledged their lust, then appointed they a time both together when they might find her alone. So these dudes, both of them lusting after the woman, but they keeping it a secret from each other. The other guy tell, hey man, it's time to go, it's dinner time, let's roll, man. But both of them having an intention that when they part way, they were gonna come back and watch Susanna even more. Peeping toms, perverts. And that's what a lot of these people be. Perverts, man, sexually immoral on that token. And guess what happened? So they come back to the spot, both of them, man, what you doing? I thought you was going home for dinner, man. I thought you was too. Man, listen, I'm gonna just keep it real with you. I was watching Susanna. Not and forgetting the hope, this is another man's wife, man. And the book already tells us in the law, thou shalt not commit adultery. Now we tag that and move further and say, listen, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's wife or anything else that he got. These are people who we're gonna get the story. They the ones who cast in the judgment. Be mindful. Continuing on. Verse 15, it says, and it fell out as they watched a fit time. She went in as before with two maids only, and she was desirous to wash herself in the garden, for it was hot. And there was nobody there save the two elders. They had hid themselves and watched her. Listen, look how crazy these folks operate. They hiding in this other man's house watching his wife. Verse 18. Let's see, no. Verse 17, then she said to her maids, bring me oil and washing balls and shut the garden doors that I may wash me. And they did as she bade them and shut the garden doors and went out themselves at privy doors to fetch the things that she had commanded them. But they saw not the elders because they were hid. And we're going to pause right here. Why? Because this is what's going on. The people be hiding these motives and intentions. They appear to you on social media as, hey, I'm the great, listen, I'm the standard of righteousness. My family is the standard and the epitome of everything that's right and good. but you don't know these people. And trust me, listen, when the book say try the spirit, by the spirit, that don't mean you try their spirit or you link in and fellowship with them based off the fact of shalom, shalom. We know we Hebrews. That don't mean you do that just because y'all call on the same name or the same holy day or you got this in common and that in common. When you try, that thing gonna take about a year. That's what I would suggest. Listen, you need to know how a person operate in different modes. How do will this person still, you know what I'm saying, support me, be free and 100, love me while they mad? Or will I turn to this person who they cast out for now? When they mad at me, or when they sad, will they push me away? When they confused, will they condemn me? When they happy, will they condemn me? Try the spirit by the spirit. That's to the death. That thing continue on. All right, but nonetheless, continue with the story. It said that because they were hid. Verse 19 says, now when the maids were gone forth, the two elders rose up and ran unto her, saying, they done ducked off, and now when the maids gone, they pop out and run up on this woman while she's uncovered, brothers and sisters. Now, how does this woman feel? Man, it's scary for a sister. Two men run up on you out of nowhere. I didn't even know y'all was there. I'm in here in a private place where, you know, this supposed to be respected as that. They run up on them. All right, but the Most High, off the lunch pad of people hiding themselves, guess what? The Most High know the truth. He see. You might be able to fool the people, but the Most High see everything. He know what's up. So continuing on. Behold, the garden doors are shut, that no man can see us. And we are in love with thee. Therefore consent unto us and lie with us. If thou wilt not, we will bear witness against thee that a young man was with thee, and therefore thou didst send away thy maids from thee. Hold up. Hold it. Let's go to Exodus 20. Let's go to Exodus 20. These are the judges saying, listen, man, we're gonna bear witness against you if you don't commit adultery. If you don't sin with us, we're gonna bear witness against you. Now, why is this so terrible? Because these people are in a position of authority, brothers, a high-ranking position. Exodus 20, verse 16. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. A witness is somebody who can say, yeah, I actually saw it. I actually heard that. I was there. All right, but you got people who will be false witnesses. You was nowhere around. And you saying that this took place and that took place. That ain't right. There's wicked. There's sin. There's transgression, if you don't know. They said they're going to bear witness against it when it created a whole story. Let's go back to it. Let's go back to the story. They said, listen, we're going to bear witness against you. Now, imagine if these people going out and they burn this witness against this woman, that she did this or she's like that. What does this make the mindset of the people who's around? What does it put them at? These wise wicked. They want an amen band. They want justification from the crowds to do what it is that they want to do, to accomplish their agenda, not the Most High. All right. Verse 22. It says, then Susanna sighed and said, I am straitened on every side. Now, that straighten is S-T-R-A-I-T. Not S-T-R-A-I, no, S-T-R-A-I-G-H-T. I might be spelling wrong. Okay, cool. But not that one. To mean straight, but straightness is difficult on both ends. He said, I'm straitened on every side. For if I do this thing, it is death unto me. And if I do it not, I cannot escape your hands. If you do it, you're going to be killed. You're going to be stoned. That's adultery. But if you don't do it, then I'm in your hand. That means I'm going to be under your judgment as y'all are judges. So what the book tell us, the law tell us, that when there's a situation and you bring it to the judge, whatever they say that judgment is, whatever they render it to be, that's what it's going to be. So don't turn to the left or the right, but do what the judges say. All right, verse 25. 23. It says, it is better for me to fall into your hands and not do it than to sin in the sight of the Most High. With that, Susanna cried with a loud voice, and the two elders cried out against her. Then ran the one and opened the garden door. So when the servants of the house heard the cry in the garden, they rushed in at a privy door to see what was done unto her. But when the elders had declared their matter, the servants were greatly ashamed, for there was never such a report made of Susanna. And it came to pass the next day, when the people were assembled to her husband Joachim, the two elders came also full of mischievous imagination against Susanna to put her to death. Listen, y'all trespassed in this man's house, turned around, lusting after his wife, lied on her, and you finna kill this man's wife because she won't sin with you. Man, this is listen, when you don't want to retain the Most High in your knowledge, you don't want to hear what the Most High got to say, man, ain't no telling what level of evil you will go to and won't have a problem with it. Verse 29 says, and said before the people, send for Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, Joachim's wife. And so they sent. So she came with her father and mother, her children, and all her kindred. This woman got a whole family, y'all. And you destroying this woman's reputation with your lie because she didn't do what you wanted her to do or what they wanted her to do. Verse 30, so she came with her father and mother, her children, and all her kindred. Now Susanna was a very delicate woman and beauteous to behold. And these wicked men commanded to uncover her face, for she was covered, that they might be filled with her beauty. Therefore her friends and all that saw her wept. Then the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands upon her head. And she, weeping, looked up toward heaven, for her heart trusted in the Most High. And the elders said, as we walked in the garden alone, this woman came in with two maids and shut the garden doors and sent the maids away. Then a young man, who there was hid, came unto her and lay with her. Then we that stood in the corner of the garden, seeing his wickedness, ran unto them. And when we saw them together, the man we could not hold, for he was stronger than we, and opened the door and leaped out. But having taken his woman, we asked who the young man was, but she would not tell us. These things do we testify. They came with their story first. Proverbs 18:17. They just in their own cause. They ran up, hey man, now this is what happened. We the judges listen to us, and all the people hearing it and listening, right? Continuing on. Hold up. If we analyzing the story, hold up, man. What y'all doing in the garden, in this man's house, in the first place? How is it that she didn't see y'all? But nonetheless, continue with the story. It says, then, hold up, verse 41, key. Then the assembly believed them. Read that part again. This is what I'm talking about, being an audience, being the people in the audience, and you having a mindset to judge, but not righteously, not understanding the story, just going with whatever somebody else said, the first person that spoke about it. It says, verse 41, then the assembly believed them, as those that were the elders and judges of the people. So they condemned her to death. Now, how y'all finna take part in the murder of an innocent woman? not knowing the story. You ready to stone and kill and cast your brother and sister out, not knowing the full story. It's dangerous. Verse 42. Then Susanna cried out with a loud voice and said, O everlasting power, that knowest the secrets and knowest all things before they be, thou knowest that they have borne false witness against me, and behold, I must die. Whereas I never did such things as these men have maliciously invented against me. And the Most High heard her voice. All praises to the Most High. Said he heard her. Let me see if there's something else I want before we go further. Yeah, cool. He said he heard her voice. Therefore, when she was led to be put to death, the Most High raised up the Holy Spirit of a young youth whose name was Daniel. Now, ain't it something, because Daniel translates to mean the Most High is my judge. So he rose up a young youth, the spirit on this young man, Daniel. All right, hold it. Let's go to Exodus right quick. Launchpad being, it said they heard the report of what the judges testified. The assembly believed them. Be careful. Be careful now. You might be trying to, consent to what the crowd's saying, and the whole crowd will be wrong. Just because everybody's saying it, don't make it true all the time. Examine the matter. Exodus 23. Exodus 23 verse 1 says, thou shalt not raise a false report. This is a commandment. Don't raise no false report on nobody in no case. Who's doing it? Are you doing it? Are you guilty of it? It says, put not thine hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to risk judgment. So don't, because you see the crowd of people saying the same thing, you get in it and cause judgment to be something that we got to be wrestling about. Don't do that. All right. If you're gonna make a decision, make sure you making your decision sincerely with hearing both sides. All right. Or don't deal with them out at all if it don't involve you. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you can end up convicted and guilty of that too, what we read earlier. All right, back in Susanna though. Back in Susanna. Verse 45 again. Therefore, when she was led to be put to death, the Most High raised up the Holy Spirit of a young youth, whose name was Daniel, who cried with a loud voice, I am clear from the blood of this woman. Then all the people turned them toward him and said, what mean these words that thou hast spoken? So he standing in the midst of them said, are ye such fools, ye sons of Israel, that without examination or knowledge of the truth, ye have condemned the daughter of Israel? Down your own case, man. Like y'all fools, man. Y'all ain't even heard her side of the story. Y'all just believe what these folks saying. I'm not finna be, listen, their blood ain't gonna be on my hands, family. Continuing on. Says, return again to the place of judgment, for they have borne false witness against her. Wherefore all the people turned again in haste. And the elder said unto him, come sit down among us and show it us, seeing the Most High have given thee the honor of an elder. Then said Daniel unto them, put these two aside, one far from another, and I will examine them. So when they were put asunder, one from another, he called one of them and said unto him, O thou that art waxing old in wickedness, now thy sins which thou hast committed aforetime are come to light. So Daniel said, listen, I don't want to talk to them together. Separate them. Put them in different rooms, different parts, different places. I'm going to talk to each one of them alone. All right. But something else I want to talk about too, or since we at it, it said these men waxed old in their wickedness. And a lot of times people wax old in their wickedness because the people around them haven't been checking them and telling them what's real. They've been letting them go about being and doing whatever they want to do. Guess what? That's going to be on your hands or our hands when it happens. But he said, but now, you know what? Your evil and came to light. Everything going to come to the light. So if this person is evil, wicked, or lying, that's going to come to the light as well. But if they true, honest, and they righteous and operating in honor, that's going to come to the light as well, family. Which is for those who like to be busybodies and into people. Listen, you don't have to get involved. Why? Because listen, the truth going to come out. Just wait for it. All right, but continuing on though. Verse 53. It says, for thou hast pronounced false judgment and has condemned the innocent and has let the guilty go free. Albeit the Most High say of the innocent and righteous, thou shalt thou not slay. Now then, if thou hast seen her, tell me, under what tree sawest thou them companying together? Who answered, under a mastic tree. And Daniel said, very well, thou hast lied against thine own head. For even now the angel of the Most High have received the sentence of the Most High to cut thee in two. So he put him aside and commanded to bring the other, and said unto him, O thou seed of Canaan, and not of Judah, beauty have deceived thee, and lust have perverted thine heart. All right, so just for edification, because we know judges over Israel were not heathens or Gentiles or other nations. What Daniel is telling him, like, listen, you operating like a heathen. You operating like a child of Canaan, a Hamite, not a child of the tribe of Judah. You know, that's what he's telling. We'll continue on. Verse 57 says, thus have ye dealt with the daughters of Israel, and they for fear companied with you. But the daughter of Judah will not abide your wickedness. Now therefore tell me, under what tree didst thou take them company together? Who answered, under a home tree. So we seen in a stories is not lining up. His story ain't witnessing to the next person. He said a mastic tree. The other guy said a home tree. Verse 59. Then said Daniel unto him, well, thou hast also lied against thine own head. For the angel of the Most High waiteth with the sword to cut thee in two, that he may destroy you. With that, all the assembly cried out with a loud voice and praised the Most High, who saved them that trust in him. And they arose against the two elders, for Daniel had convicted them of false witness by their own mouth. And according to the law of Moses, they did unto them in such sort as they maliciously intended to do to their neighbor. And they put them to death. Thus the innocent blood was saved the same day. Therefore Chelcias and his wife praised the Most High for their daughter Susanna, with Joachim, her husband, and all the kindred, because there was no dishonesty found in her. From that day forth was Daniel had in great reputation in the sight of the people. All right, so we see here that judgment, when we started Matthew 7, what judgment you make is going to be given back to you. They wanted to kill this innocent woman. They wanted to kill her. All right, so since you wanted to kill her and you was lying about his false witness, you gonna be killed as the truth come out. That's what we just read, family. All right, let me see what else I want. Let's go to Numbers. Let's go to Numbers 16. Listen, if you don't agree with the message, let me say this before we go for it. If you saying that, if anybody has the mindset to say that they in it, their souls will be saved, it's a way to do it. We're not fishing in the same ponds, therefore we don't use the same types of lures. We don't even look for the same type of fish and use it, the same type of rods and locations. If you understand what I'm saying. Furthermore, don't bring a spirit of confusion, man. If somebody's getting fed by the word and you disagree with what's being brought out, you have that right. You got that right to disagree. But don't bring it over here when the other people get fed. You might deter them from the Most High. Sometimes people speak on matters saying, well, this ain't that and that. They don't even know nothing about what you talking about. And you end up deterring them from the Most High. Man, that's a blot on your soul, on your account. If you think it's false, hey, listen, do your thing. But on this side, we're going to go through the whole scripture, old, new, and everything else that's going to help us to get to our salvation. If it strengthens you, be fully persuaded in your own mind. Be fully persuaded in your own mind. All right, so you folks come in with these adverse spirits, man, listen. Man, let's go, man. First, we're going to number 16. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. There's balance. There's balance, though. Everybody can't love the message. Understand it, brothers and sisters. Everybody ain't going to love what's being brought out, and it's good. We need the balance of the people disagreeing and going against it, whatever else. But be fully persuaded on whatever you believe in things. All right, number 16, verse 1, it says, now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men. And they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. All right. It says, and they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said unto them, ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Most High is among them. Wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of the Most High. So this Korah, he didn't went and got other people to get on board with what he's got going. All right, and the issue is that something is he don't like with Moses and Aaron. We're gonna get it. It says, and when Moses heard it, he fell upon his face, and he spake unto Korah and unto all his company, saying, even tomorrow the Most High will show who are his and who is holy, and will cause him to come near unto him, even him whom he have chosen when he calls to come near unto him. This do, take you censers, Korah, and all his company, and put fire therein, and put incense in them before the Most High tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom the Most High do choose, he shall be holy. Ye take too much upon you, ye sons of Levi. And Moses said unto Korah, hear, I pray you, ye sons of Levi, seemeth it but a small thing unto you, that the God of Israel have separated you from the congregation of Israel, to bring you near to himself to do the service of the tabernacle of the Most High, and to stand before the congregation to minister unto them? And he have brought thee near to him, and all thy brethren, the sons of Levi, with thee. And seek ye the priesthood also? So the problem is Korah and his company, they saying, well, Moses, why are you trying to put yourself above everybody? The Most High said the whole nation of Israel is holy. He ain't just with you and your brother. Why y'all feel like y'all gotta be the ones doing everything? But we gotta get into what is it that's triggering Korah to move like that? Why is he thinking like, what is his real agenda? Let's go to Josephus. Let's go to Josephus, the Antiquity of the Jews. Book 4. Let's see. Work out your own salvation, saint. Work it out. Book 4, chapter 2. All right, let me see. So Moses like, man, y'all taking, you think it's a small thing that out of everybody, the Most High said, like, y'all gonna be the ones performing the service for him? With the tabernacle and the snuff dishes and the spoons and the basin and the altar and all this? Y'all the only ones that can touch the Ark of the Covenant. Y'all think that's small? Now, and y'all want the priesthood as well? unsatisfied with your portion. That's what the book tells us. All right, but the Antiquity of the Jews, book 4, chapter 2, verse 1. It says, that which is usually the case of great armies, and especially upon ill success, to be hard to be pleased and governed with difficulty, did now befall the Jews. The Jews, there's us. For they being in number 600,000, and by reason of their great multitude, let me see what I do. I need this charger. Hold up, y'all. Forgive me. We snatched the charger. Put it on the charger right quick before the computer died. All right. This. All right. Let's see. All right. All right. 600,000, and by reason of their great multitude, not readily subject to their governors, even in prosperity, that they at this time were more than usually angry, both against one another and against their leader, because of the distress they were in and the calamities they then endured. So many people, so many mentalities and personalities and spirits, so they frustrated, and their frustration turns to they angry with one another, and yet also angry with Moses. It says, such a sedition overtook them, as we have not the like example either among the Greeks or the barbarians, by which they were in danger of being all destroyed, but were notwithstanding saved by Moses, who would not remember that he had been almost stoned to death by them, nor did the Most High neglect to prevent their ruin. But notwithstanding the indignities they had offered their legislator and the laws, and their disobedience to the commandments which he had sent them by Moses, he delivered them from those terrible calamities which, without his providential care, had been brought upon them by this sedition. So I will first explain the cause whence this sedition arose, and then we'll give an account of the sedition itself, as also what settlements Moses made for their government after it was over. So we're looking at in here. He going into why this situation, how did the sedition occur, why, and so on and so forth, the conclusion of it. Verse 2 says, Korah, a Hebrew of principal account both by his family and by his wealth, one that was also able to speak well, and one that could easily persuade the people by his speeches, saw that Moses was in an exceeding great dignity and was uneasy at it, and envied him on that account. He was of the same tribe with Moses and of kin to him, was particularly grieved because he thought he better deserved that honorable post on account of his great riches. So you got people who they looking at saying that you don't deserve what you got. You don't deserve to be in that position of what you in and have the people loving on you or caring about, or people feel like none of y'all should be tuned into what I'm saying right now. They said, I don't deserve it, because they themselves feel that they deserve it. But it's spawning from envy. All right? But this is a part of why. So you got to say, okay, well, why? Why are these people envious? Why do they feel like it? Why do they feel like I don't deserve it? Why they feel like you don't deserve it? Judge righteous judgment. All right, continuing on. He said he thought he better deserved that honorable post on account of his great riches, and not inferior to him in his birth. So he raised a clamor against him among the Levites, who were of the same tribe, and especially among his kindred, saying that it was a very sad thing that they should overlook Moses, while he hunted after and paved the way to glory for himself. and by ill arts should obtain it under the pretense of God's command, while contrary to the laws, he had given the priesthood to Aaron, not by the common suffrage of the multitude, but by his own vote, and bestowing dignities in a tyrannical way on whom he pleased. So the argument that Korah is putting out is that Moses didn't make his brother the priest, you know what I'm saying, according to the Most High commanded him to do that. He was doing it because he wanted to keep the power in his family. He felt like we ain't worthy. He don't deserve that position. Look at me, I got all the riches, I'm wealthy. Moses ain't got all this type of bread, man. He shouldn't be in that position. I should. It's the man of Korah, and it's the same mindset of a lot of people that operate today. All right, we're continuing on. He added that this concealed way of imposing on him was harder to be borne than if it had been done by an open force upon him, because he did now not only take away their power without their consent, but even while they were unapprised of his contrivances against them, for whosoever is conscious to himself that he deserves any dignity aims to get it by persuasion, and not by an arrogant method of violence. But those that believe it impossible to obtain those honors justly make a show of goodness and do not introduce force, but by cunning tricks grow wickedly powerful. That it was proper for the multitude to punish such men, even while they think themselves concealed in their designs, and not suffer them to gain strength till they have them for their open enemies. For what account, added he, is Moses able to give why he has bestowed the priesthood on Aaron and his sons? For if the Most High had determined to bestow that honor on one of the tribe of Levi, I am more worthy of it than he is. I myself being equal to Moses by my family and superior to him both in riches and in age. But if the Most High had determined to bestow it on the eldest tribe, that of Reuben, might have it most justly. And then Dathan and Abiram and On, the son of Peleth, would have it. For these are the oldest men of their tribe, and potent on account of their great wealth also. So now from number 16, we see why Dathan and Abiram and Eliab and On, and these people, why they was with Korah. But Korah saying again, he don't deserve it. And if anybody was to get it, I'm a Levite myself, and I'm older than him, and I got more money than him. It's really due to me. And if it's not to me, and it should go to the oldest tribe, it need to go to somebody from the tribe of Reuben. That being On and these other fellows. Continuing on, verse 3. It says, now Korah, when he said this, had a mind to appear to take care of the public welfare. But in reality, he was endeavoring to procure to have that dignity transferred by the multitude to himself. So it wasn't for the glory of the Most High. It wasn't for the people to be drawn unto the Creator and have their relationship strengthened. It was for self-glory and for this person to be honored. And it be a lot of people want power. And guess what? They don't even know how to control or operate and use it. Power can destroy you. Too much power can destroy a person. Continuing on though, it says, thus did he out of a malignant design, but with plausible words, discourse to those of his own tribe. And when these words did gradually spread to more of the people, and when the hearers still added to what tended to the scandals that were cast upon Aaron, the whole army was full of them. Now those that conspired with Korah, there were 250, and those are the principal men also, who were eager to have the priesthood taken away from Moses' brother, and to bring him into disgrace. Nay, the multitude themselves were provoked to be seditious, and attempted to stone Moses, and gathered themselves together after an indecent manner, with confusion and disorder. And now they all were, in a tumultuous manner, raising a clamor before the tabernacle of the Most High, to prosecute the tyrant and to relieve the multitude from their slavery under him, who, on the color of the divine commands, laid valid injunctions upon him. For there had been God who chose one that was to perform the office of a priest. He would have raised a worthy person to that dignity, and would not have produced such a one as was inferior to many others, nor have given him that office, and that in case he had judged it fit to bestow it on Aaron, he would have permitted it to the multitude to bestow it, and not have left it to be bestowed by his own brother. So he's saying, listen, the Most High wouldn't have did that. He wouldn't have gave it to, that's his brother. He would have spread the power out. Bless Moses like this and give the other power and priesthood to somebody else. But this is against the Most High, brothers and sisters. But we're going into this to see, again, the subject matter, judge righteous judgment, Korah's movements and his intentions and agenda, and how this thing turned out. Verse 4. It says, now, although Moses had a great while ago foreseen this calumny of Korah, and had seen that the people were irritated, yet was he not affrighted at it, but being of good courage, because he had given them right advice about their affairs, and knowing that his brother had been made partaker of the priesthood at the command of the Most High, and not by his own favor to him, he came to the assembly. And as for the multitude, he said not a word to them, but spake as loud to Korah as he could, and being very skillful in making speeches, and having his natural talent among others, that he could greatly move the multitude with his discourses, he said, O Korah, both thou and all these with thee, pointing to the 250 men, seem to be worthy of this honor. Nor do I pretend but that this whole company may be worthy of the like dignity, although they may not be so rich or so great as you are. Nor have I taken and given his office to Aaron, because he excelled others in riches, for thou exceedest us both in the greatness of thy wealth. Nor indeed because he was of an eminent family for the Most High, by giving us the same common ancestor, has made our families equal. Nay, nor was it out of brotherly affection, which another might yet have justly done. For certainly, unless I had bestowed this honor out of regard to the Most High and to his laws, I had not passed by myself and given it to another, as being nearer of kin to myself than to my brother, and having a closer intimacy with myself than I have with him. For surely it would not be a wise thing for me to expose myself to the dangers of offending, and to bestow the happy employment on this account upon another. But I am above such base practices, nor would the Most High have overlooked this matter and seen himself thus despised. So if I did this, the Most High in the long run, he would have been despised by people. And this is also another reason why the judgment that we make, we got to do it with righteous examination. Because you end up passing a judgment on somebody, and that judgment that you pass, and you go and spread that about, listen, you can turn somebody else away from the Most High and cause them to despise the Most High. Continuing on though. It says, nor will he have suffered you to be ignorant of what you were to do in order to please him. But he hath himself chosen one that is to perform that sacred office to him, and thereby freed us from that curse. All right, so to keep y'all from wondering who gonna be the priest, the Most High chose for us, so that it was not a thing that I pretend to give, but only according to the determination of the Most High. I therefore propose it still to be contended for by such as please to put it in for it, only desiring that he who has been already preferred and has already obtained it may be allowed now also to offer himself for a candidate. So since y'all saying Aaron is not worthy to be the priest, this is what we're gonna do. Everybody who feel like they capable and should be a priest, let everybody come on, all those people, as well as Aaron, and we're gonna get an answer from the Most High. All right, picking up with the next portion of this particular verse. See, it says, he prefers your peace and your living without sedition to this honorable employment, although in truth it was with your approbation that he obtained it. For though the Most High were the donor, yet do we not offend when we think fit to accept it with your goodwill. Yet would it have been an instance of impiety not to have taken that honorable employment when he offered it. Nay, it had been exceedingly unreasonable when the Most High had thought it fit anyone should have it for all time to come, and had made it secure and firm to him, to have refused it. However, he himself would judge again who it shall be whom he would have to offer sacrifices to him, and to have the direction of matters of religion. For it is absurd that Korah, who is ambitious of this honor, should deprive the Most High of the power of giving it to whom he pleases. Put an end, therefore, to your sedition and disturbance on this account. And tomorrow morning, do every one of you that desire the priesthood bring a censer from home, and come hither with incense and fire. And do thou, O Korah, leave the judgment to the Most High, and await to see on which side he will give his determination upon this occasion. But do not thou make thyself greater than the Most High. Do thou also come, that this contest about this honorable employment may receive determination. And I suppose we may admit Aaron without offense to offer himself to this scrutiny, since he is of the same lineage with thyself, and has done nothing in his priesthood that can be liable to exception. Come ye therefore together, and offer your incense in public before all the people. And when ye offer it, he who sacrificed the Most High shall accept, shall be ordained to the priesthood, and shall be clear of the present calumny on Aaron, as if I had granted him that favor because he was my brother. So we're going to get to the bottom of the matter about if this was a selection of my own, or if the Most High anointed this person, which that's a problem with a lot of people too. He said, tomorrow bring y'all censers. The Most High finna show you who he chose. Chapter 3, verse 1. When Moses had said this, the multitude left off the turbulent behavior they had indulged, and the suspicion they had of Moses, and commended what he had said. For those proposals were good, and were so esteemed of the people. At that time, therefore, they dissolved the assembly. But on the next day, they came to the congregation in order to be present at the sacrifice and at the determination that was to be made between the candidates for the priesthood. Now this congregation proved a turbulent one, and the multitude were in great suspense. Pay attention to this part. The multitude were in great suspense and expectation of what was to be done. For some of them would have been pleased if Moses had been convicted of evil practices. So we're going back to the judge righteous judge. Some of these people, I think Cephas hit at it, they hear stuff and they already have a mind to want something evil to happen to whoever they're hearing about. The same way that it was with the Messiah. They don't want to hear no good news about you or nothing righteous. And anytime a report like that come out about this person, guess what? They're going to condemn it, demonize it, or pollute it. There's not righteous judgment. So, but some of the people they cast this evil because they already don't like you. They already got a problem with you. All right, it says, but the wiser sort desired that they might be delivered from the present disorder and disturbance. For they were afraid that if this sedition went on, the good order of their settlement would rather be destroyed. But the whole body of the people do naturally delight in clamors against their governors, and by changing their opinions upon the harangues of every speaker, disturb public tranquility. And now Moses sent messengers for Abiram and Dathan and ordered them to come to the assembly and wait there for the holy offices that were to be performed. But they answered the messenger that they would not obey his summons, nay, would not overlook Moses' behavior, who was growing too great for them by evil practices. Now when Moses heard of this, their answer, he desired the heads of the people to follow him. And he went to the faction of Dathan, not thinking it any frightful thing at all to go to these insolent people. So they made no opposition, but went along with him. But Dathan and his associates, when they understood that Moses and the principal of the people were coming to them, came out with their wives and children and stood before their tents and looked as to see what Moses would do. They had also their servants about them to defend themselves in case Moses should use force against them. But he came near and lifted up his hands to heaven and cried out with a loud voice in order to be heard by the whole multitude and said, O Lord of the creatures that are in the heaven, in the earth, and in the sea, for thou art the most authentic witness to what I have done, that it has all been done by thy appointment, and that it was thou that afforded us assistance when we attempted anything, and showed his mercy on the Hebrews in all their distresses. Do thou come now and hear that I say, for no action or thought escapes thy knowledge, so that thou would not disdain to speak what is true, for my vindication without any regard to the ungrateful imputations of these men. As for what was done before I was born, thou knowest best. Listen to this part. As not learning them by report, but seeing them and being present with them when they were done. This is another section of why judgment is not rendered righteously. Because people get it from report, not actually being involved in seeing it. We need to be there. Continuing on though. But for what has been done of late, in which these men, although they know them well enough, unjustly pretend to suspect, be thou my witness. When I lived a private, quiet life, I left those good things, which by my own diligence and by that counsel, I enjoyed with Raguel, my father-in-law. And I gave myself up to this people and underwent many miseries on their account. I also bore great labors at first in order to obtain liberty for them, and now in order to their preservation, and have always showed myself ready to assist them in every distress of theirs. Now, therefore, since I am suspected by those very men whose being is owing to my labors, come thou, as it is reasonable to hope thou wilt, thou, I say, who showest me that fire at Mount Sinai, and madest me to hear his voice, and to see the several wonders which that place afforded me. Thou who commandest me to go to Egypt and declare thy will to this people, thou who disturbest the happy state of the Egyptians, and gavest us the opportunity of flying away from our slavery under them, and madest the dominion of Pharaoh inferior to my dominion. Thou who didst make the sea dry land for us, when we knew not whither to go, and didst overwhelm the Egyptians with those destructive waves which had been divided for us. Thou who didst bestow upon us the security of weapons when we were naked. Thou who didst make the fountains that were corrupted to flow, so as to be fit for drinking, and didst furnish us with water that came out of the rocks, when we were in the greatest want of it. Thou who didst preserve our lives with quails, which was food from the sea, when the fruits of the ground failed us. So Moses going into mind, you didn't help us in all type of ways. This the same God I'm calling on. I need you to help me in this situation because these men are condemning me and my brother unjustly. It says, when the fruits of the ground failed us, thou who did send us such food from heaven as had never been seen before. Thou who did suggest to us the knowledge of thy laws and appoint to us a form of government. Come thou, I say, O Lord of the whole world, and that as such a judge and a witness to me as cannot be bribed. And show how I never admitted of any gift against justice from any of the Hebrews, and have never condemned the poor man that ought to have been acquitted on account of one that was rich, and have never attempted to hurt this commonwealth. And I'm now here present and am suspected of a thing, the remotest from my intentions, as if I had given the priesthood to Aaron, not at thy command, but out of my own favor to him. Do thou at this time demonstrate that all things are administered by this providence, by thy providence, and that nothing happens by chance. but is governed by thy will, and thereby attains its end, as also demonstrate that thou takest care of those that have done good to the Hebrews. Demonstrate this, I say, by the punishment of Abiram and Dathan, who condemned thee as an insensible being, and one overcome by contrivances. This wilt thou do by inflicting such an open punishment on these men, who so madly fly in the face of thy glory, as will take them out of the world, not in an ordinary manner, but so that it may appear they do not die after the manner of other men. Let that ground which they tread upon open about them and consume them with their families and goods. So Moses getting it in. Like, hey, listen, this was for everybody. Like, listen, I ain't had nothing, Father. You know who I know who you is. They know who you is. They seen what you done for us and the miracles you done perform. Keep us. And if I'm lying, Father, deal with me according. But these men, because they challenging you by saying that I'm not doing this according to your command. Let the ground open up and let them die in a manner that was never, ever executed in the earth before. All right. Continuing on, it says, this will be a demonstration of thy power to all men. And this method of their suffering will be an instruction of wisdom for those that entertain profane sentiments of thee. By this means I shall be found a good servant in the precepts thou hast given by me. But if the calumnies they have raised against me be true, mayest thou preserve these men from every evil accident, and bring all that destruction on me which I have imprecated upon them. And when thou hast inflicted punishment on those that have endeavored to deal unjustly with this people, bestow upon them concord and peace. Save this multitude that follow thy commandments, and preserve them free from harm, and let them not partake of the punishment of those that have sinned. For thou knowest thyself, it is not just that for the wickedness of those men, the whole body of the Israelites should suffer punishment. When Moses has said this, with tears in his eyes, the ground was moved on a sudden, and the agitation that set it in motion was like that which the wind produces in waves of the sea. The people were all affrighted, and the ground that was about their tents sunk down at the great noise, with the terrible sound, and carried whatsoever was dear to the seditious into itself. Whoso entirely perished, that there was not the least appearance that any man had ever been seen there. The earth that had opened itself about them, closing again and becoming entire as it was before, insomuch that such as saw it afterward did not perceive that any such accident had happened to it. Thus did these men perish and become a demonstration of the power of the Most High. And truly anyone would lament them, not only on account of this calamity that befell them, which yet deserves our commiseration, but also because their kindred were pleased with their sufferings. For they forgot the relation they bare to them, and at the sight of this sad accident, approved of the judgment given against them. And because they looked upon the people about the thorn as pestilent men, they thought they perished as such and did not grieve for them. So the ground opened up and consumed these folks, them and their families, and all that belonged and pertained to them. But where did it come from? What was the initiation of this happening? Korah. Him having an agenda to say Moses don't deserve his position, neither do his brother. So these men get involved with him and on board with his agenda. Be careful with whose agenda you on board with. You better make sure that it's lining up with the Most High and not contending with him. Continuing on, I'm going to read some more. Verse 4, it says, and now Moses called for those that contended about the priesthood, that trial might be made who should be priests, and that he who sacrificed the Most High was best pleased with might be ordained to that function. There attended 250 men, who indeed were honored by the people, not only on account of the power of their ancestors, but also on account of their own, in which they excelled the others. Aaron also and Korah came forth, and they all offered incense in those censers of theirs which they brought with them before the tabernacle. Hereupon so great a fire shone out as no one ever saw in any that is made by the hand of man, neither in those eruptions out of the earth that are caused by subterraneous burnings, nor in such fires as arise of their own accord in the woods, when an agitation is caused by the trees rubbing one against another. But this fire was very bright and had a terrible flame, such as is kindled at the command of the Most High, by whose eruption on them all the company and Korah himself were destroyed. And this so entirely that their very bodies left no remains behind them. Aaron alone was preserved and not at all hurt by the fire, because it was the Most High that sent the fire to burn those only who ought to be burned. Hereupon Moses, after these men were destroyed, was desirous that the memory of this judgment might be delivered down to posterity, and that future ages might be acquainted with it. And so he commanded Eleazar, the son of Aaron, to put their censers near the brazen altar, that they might be a memorial to posterity of what these men suffered, for supposing that the power of a higher might be eluded. And thus Aaron was now no longer esteemed to have the priesthood by the favor of Moses, but by the public judgment of the Most High. And thus he and his children peaceably enjoyed that honor afterwards. So that in future generations, it'll never come up again. Like, man, why y'all think y'all deserve the priesthood? The Most High allowed this to happen. It's on the altar for you to constantly be reminded. I gave that to them for my own purpose. All right. Let's go to Matthew 18. Matthew 18. Matthew 18. Matthew 18. Peace and blessings to y'all. Peace and blessings on everybody who render peace and blessings. Matthew 18. So this is another part of what I've seen to happen. We're talking about judging righteous judgment. I got a couple more, and then we're going to close out, man. Matthew 18, we're going to go with, we're going to start with 15. Matthew chapter 18, verse 15. It says, moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. Now, many refer to this. They refer to this verse and say, yeah, I did. I went and told him. But examine, why are we being instructed to go and deal with this matter with our brother, our neighbor, alone? For multiple reasons. Because for one, it's supposed to be confidential between you and him, you and her. That's y'all business. So you got some that use that and forget that. Go, yeah, I went to him alone, but then you go out and you go spreading it amongst everybody else. That's against the commandment. In the first place, the thing was supposed to be a private matter or handled in privacy. But you have some who go out and they want to do what Korah did. They want to get other people on board and other people involved who it ain't got nothing to do with them. This is a wicked nature, brothers and sisters. He that have an ear to hear, let him hear. All right, so you do go to your brother and sister in private. And it says, if they hear you, so if they receive what you say, you gained your brother. It should be the end of that situation. All right, it is nothing we can be done. That's water under the bridge. Now we back, shalom, is love. Hey, what's going on? All that. But if we have a situation and I hear you or you hear me, then one of us turn around and go spreading it like, now you've broken the code. You've broken the commandment. Verse 16 says, but if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word may be established. So you bring in other people, you bring in another person. If y'all two haven't agreed to, in that first line of how we deal with it, if y'all ain't agreed to it, that's the end of it. Still stay between y'all. But if he won't hear you, she won't hear you, then you go bring 2 or 3 witnesses to get some. Listen, I suppose this to I told the brother this, I told the sister this to rectify the situation. What you think? Or let me get you to be here to witness to understand that they rejecting. They don't want to rebuild whatever it is that was torn down between us. Verse 17 says, and if he shall neglect to hear them, if he don't want to hear them, tell it unto the church. Now we can go to a further step to involve the whole body. But if these steps are not being taken, it's out of order and it's unrighteous judgment. All right, let him be unto thee as an heathen man and a publican. All right, so then we can separate ourselves from it. Or say, listen, we tried. The book tells us that we forgive. Yes, we do. And it also tells us in balance. But if that brother don't come to you and confessing his sin and saying, forgive him, it said if he don't repent, then he said, if he repent, then forgive him. So you got some that want to try to come around and build with you and pretend as if it ain't an issue. Like you got to deal with this or what you done already. You ain't made repentance for this. We got to talk about it. We got to nip this in the bud before we can move forward and start building in this area and that area again. A lot of people don't apply that. But this is why we're going over it. All right. So what I want to get now, let's go to Ezra. I'm gonna close out here, and then we'll get to we'll get into any questions or comments and concerns. Cold Rain, Shabbat Shalom, Hebrew. If your brother hear you, you know what I'm saying? You gained your brother. Now, hey, rock out. You know what I'm saying? Everything good now. You a real brother. You know what I'm saying? What's up? But if he don't hear you, he neglected 2 or 3 witnesses, then you can go put it on. To where you say, well, listen, I tried. Now it can be public. But you got so many people that want to defame, defraud, tear down, put an ill name out, destroy the reputation of other people. That they skip all that and go straight to the public and say, look, this is what happened. This is what they did and said. You false and it's wicked. All right, Ezra chapter 7. Ezra chapter 7, a couple more verses on judgment for those who may have a question about, okay, what is judgment? Can't we really judge beyond verbal? We heard the term and the phrase where people say, you can't judge me. Stop judging me. God can only judge me, so on and so forth. All right, but what is judgment according to God's word? Ezra chapter 7, verse 25. It says, Ezra chapter 7, verse 25. It says, and thou, Ezra, after the wisdom of thy power that is in thine hand, set magistrates and judges, which may judge all the people that are beyond the river, all such as know the laws of thy power, and teach ye them that know them not. So set amongst the people who have wisdom enough to judge, to come and render a decision and a conclusion about a matter that's taking place and what was brought before them. Verse 26. It says, and whosoever will not do the law of thy power and the law of the king, let judgment be executed speedily upon him, whether it be unto death, or to banishment, or to confiscation of goods, or to imprisonment. So these are the four types of judgment that get rendered out when it's coming down to severe punishment in different cases. All right, so there's that. Write that down. Put that in your guide for your precepts. What is judgment? Let me see. I think I got one more on that case. There's a whole lot more that could have been added, but this is what I'll bring or include in this particular message. 1 Corinthians 6. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Indeed it is. I talked about that earlier. Sister Melissa said, good thing she was righteous in her ways, referring to Susanna. Half the time people already slighted against me because I remain unmarried, not running around, just unmarried, but there's a mar in this community. All right. But we in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 1. It says, there any of you having a matter against another, go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters? So if the world going to be judged by us, these Israelites, these Hebrews, the chosen people, shouldn't we be able to judge one between another? Continuing on. Know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life? If then ye have judgments of things pertaining to this life, set them to judge who are the least esteemed in the church. All right. And there's a part of it too. Put people in position to make these judgment calls who ain't in a position, who not in the public eye, as some will give you the perspective of, and a title, and so on and so forth. All right. See if I want more on that. That's it. Yeah, but so unrighteous judgment. You know what I mean? All these things, if you haven't listened to go back and listen to the full broadcast. Those are verses that we hit. Go back over them, read above them and beyond them. You know, so that you can gain an understanding on what was said today. Nehemiah 8:8, it says, the people opened the book and they read out of the book of the law, and they gave the sense of what was being read. So just for edification, anybody saying, okay, why is he going through the book with the verse and then he started talking? It's from the book, family. Questions, comments, and concerns. Questions, comments, and concerns. Okay. So prior, you had that Romans 2. I said I was going to get that. Romans chapter 2, verse 11. It was earlier. Romans 2:11 says, for there is no respect of persons with the Most High. For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law. And as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. So indeed, understand that the Most High going to deal with us accordingly. He's a righteous judge. He ain't gonna be swayed by your status and appearance and your money and whatever else. Let's see. Proverbs 20:19, he that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth secrets. Therefore meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips. Indeed. Peace and blessing, Sister Weezy, Shalom. Son, always fortress, say Israel is his firstborn, so is David. I hear you. I hear you. Day 5, Maya, Shalom. Miss House of Elkanah, Shalom. Y'all son of you, Shalom. I think you came in late. Bro Elrin. Let's see what you got. Risha said, does jury duty fall under this topic? I've never had to attend, but just wondering. I definitely would say so, because the jury, you know, when they select you for jury duty, you put in a position where you have to make a judgment call about the person that's on the stand. So, which is why, you know, you have your prosecutors and the lawyers, and they give the evidence that they have and what they think about the person who's under the microscope. You know, so when we, again, just any matter, any case, in any time that we dealing with something, we should understand it from your own situation. Put yourself in the shoe. If somebody come to you talking about a situation, or you see something in two people that quarrel, remember, you know what I'm saying? If it was you and you had an issue with a person, and the person went about to tell their side of the story, you know yourself that you got a side of the story. What happened with you? So when we're dealing with our brothers and our sisters, our neighbors, we got to keep that in mind. Like, okay, well, what is his side? What is our side? That's the balance, man. And it's not given, it's not rendered, it's not executed, it's not displayed a lot of times. All right, and it's for respective persons in a lot of cases. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't right, that ain't real, that ain't righteous. All right, where's Nero? Peace and blessing to you. Yasharala House of Learning, peace and blessing to the house. Levi Easy 2 times. Peace and blessings to the house. Saint Shalom, bless you and your seed. All right. Any other question, comment, and concern before we close out? Any other question, comment, and concern before we close out? I pray the word was edifying, strengthening. Let us not forget this. Let us not forget. I pray that it goes down deep in our spirits, becomes a part of who we are and how we operate. Mashka, Shalom. Indeed, Koran, you too. Likewise, Hebrew. Peace and blessings. If you ain't smashed the like button, smash it now. Alert the other people who, for some reason, they not getting the notifications. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And be blessed. All praises to the Most High. But if you think of any other question, comment, concern in the meanwhile, shoot the information to that right there, to that email, childrenoftheprophets144@gmail.com. Also, if y'all in different areas, right? When we come on and gather, overline how some people in areas and they don't have anybody to fellowship with. So I want y'all to start dropping y'all cities. You know what I mean, for those people, so that they'll be able to link in, or if it be the Father will, that, you know, brothers and sisters be able to convocate together in actual the same area physically. Because there's some people out here, they striving, they've been walking by themselves, and they need their fellowship. Everybody ain't got the same strength. All right. Drop the cities in the comments. Drop it in the comment area. I'm sorry. Drop it in the comment area. And I might make a post in the YouTube community so that y'all can all drop it and, you know, link in with whoever the Father lead us to link in with. Red Lion, Pennsylvania. So if y'all got anybody want to gather with somebody else in the truth. Wadesboro, North Carolina. All praise to the Most High. California, San Bernardino. Indeed, all praises to the Most High. I'll give y'all time. Y'all saw being Yahoo. Shabbat Shalom. Huh? Statesboro, Georgia. Wadesboro, North Carolina. So you got two people in this. I don't know. Y'all could get together, fellowship. ST Hale, indeed, is it 2 times. Bryson City, North Carolina. So that, you know, we can try to build it up to where, you know, people need their fellowship again. They need their fellowship a lot of times. Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Two people in Wadesboro, indeed. Sisters, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Jackson, Mississippi. I'm sorry, Mashka. Bless y'all, sisters. But yeah. But like I was saying, I might make a post. Father willing, I'll make a post in the YouTube community where everybody be able to drop, you know, your location as far as your city so that others can see, and it'll create a chance and opportunity for people to link in together. Melissa X, was you okay in Jackson? Need anything? May the Father have mercy on Jackson and those other areas that's flooded, or people having issues with the water, seeing it coming out dark brown. Power been out in certain areas for people. All type of stuff. All right. Let's see. Yeah, a few more couple seconds. All right. Well, peace and blessings to y'all again. May everybody that bless y'all be blessed, and everybody who curse y'all be cursed. And we one up on the devil with this. Shalom.